Hello, and welcome to what should hopefully be a good long-running series on the subject of my maintaining physiological self-discipline and abstaining from wankery, and noticing the effects, or the lack thereof, in conducting myself properly. So without further ado, let's turn on the voice pitch analyzer. Here are the statistics from before. And record, and bring up the beloved classic, and begin. The Penguin Sherlock Holmes Collection, A Study in Scarlet, by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, dubbed The Literary Super Sleuth by the Daily Express. Chapter 1, page 3, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. In the year 1878, I took my degree of Doctor of Medicine of the University of London and proceeded to Netley to go through the course prescribed for surgeons in the army. Having completed my studies there, I was duly attached to the 5th Northumberland Fusiliers as assistant surgeon. The regiment was stationed in India at the time, and before I could join it, the Second Afghan War had broken out. On landing at Bombay, I learned that my corps had advanced through the passes and was already deep in the enemy's country. I followed, however, with many other officers who were in the same situation as myself, and succeeded in reaching Kandahar in safety, where I found my regiment and at once entered upon my new duties. The campaign brought honors and promotion to many, but for me it had nothing but misfortune and disaster. I was removed from my brigade and attached to the Berkshires, with whom I served at the fatal battle of Maiwand. There I was struck on the shoulder by a Jezail bullet, which shattered the bone and grazed the subclavian artery. I should have fallen into the hands of the murderous Gazy, had it not been for the devotion and courage shown by Murray, my orderly, who threw me across a packhorse and succeeded in bringing me safely to the British lines. Worn with pain and weak from prolonged hardships which I had undergone, I was removed, with a great train of wounded sufferers, to the base hospital at Peshawar. Here I rallied, and had already improved so far as to be able to walk about the wards, and even to bask a little upon the veranda, when I was struck down by enteric fever, that curse of our Indian possessions. For months my life was despaired of, and when at last I came to myself and became convalescent, I was so weak and emaciated that a medical board determined that not a day should be lost in sending me back to England. I was dispatched accordingly in the troop ship Orontes, and landed a month later on the Portsmouth jetty. With my health irrevocably ruined, but with I was dispatched accordingly in the troop ship Orontes, and landed a month later on Portsmouth jetty, with my health irrevocably ruined, but with permission from a paternal government to spend the next 9 months in attempting to improve it. I had neither kith nor kin in England, and was therefore as free as air, or as free as an income of 11 shillings and 6 pence a day will permit a man to be. Under such circumstances, I naturally gravitated to London, that great cesspool into which all the loungers and idlers of the empire are irresistibly drained. There I stayed for some time at a private hotel in the Strand, leading a comfortless, meaningless existence, and spending such money as I had, considerably more freely than I ought. So alarming did the state of my finances become, that I soon realized that I must either leave the metropolis and rusticate somewhere in the country, or that I must make a complete alteration in my style of living. Choosing the latter alternative, I began by making up my mind to leave the hotel and to take up my quarters in some less pretentious and less expensive domicile. On the very day that I had come to this conclusion, I was standing at the Satyrian bar, when someone tapped me on the shoulder, and turning round I recognized young Stamford, who had been a dresser under me at Bart's. The sight of a friendly face in the great wilderness of London is a pleasant thing indeed to a lonely man. In old days, Stamford had never been a particular crony of mine, but now I hailed him with enthusiasm, and he, in his turn, appeared to be delighted to see me. In the exuberance of my joy, I asked him to lunch with me at the Holborn, and we started off together in a hansom. "Whatever have you been doing with yourself, Watson?" he asked in undisguised wonder as we rattled through the crowded London streets. "You are as thin as a lathe and as brown as a nut." I gave him a short sketch of my adventures, and had hardly concluded it by the time that we reached our destination. "Poor devil," he said commiseratingly, after he had listened to my misfortunes. "What are you up to now?" "Looking for lodgings," I answered, trying to solve the problem as to whether it is impossible. "Poor devil," he said commiseratingly, after he had listened to my misfortunes. "What are you up to now?" "Looking for lodgings," I answered, trying to solve the problem as to whether it is possible to get comfortable rooms at a reasonable price. "That's a strange thing," remarked my companion. "You are the second man today that has used that expression to me." "And who was the first?" I asked. A fellow who is working at the chemical laboratory up at the hospital. He was bemoaning himself this morning because he could not get someone to go halves with him. Concluding the recording, now we can bring ourselves to the results and some overview on my standings, attitudes, and just a conclusion. So here is the range, quite wide as expected, but nothing too disturbing or alarming. Early, quite feminine spikes, quite frequent spikes overall, and the details. And then we'll go over to the graph comparisons. So general average at 119 hertz, minimum 70 hertz, maximum extraordinarily high, minimum average decent, low, maximum average to the moon. So now let's bring it up to the graph, and we'll notice that I've gone quite high again. Now, it isn't as bad as starting or when I recessed the week following the first successful continuance of discipline throughout the week. So if you've made any bets, this past while from the last test, the last episode, I have not maintained discipline, and aside from getting the sperm test done, I just made it what's the words? I'm at a loss for words whenever I record these, and it extends the episodes unfortunately longer than I'd like. Makes them cumbersome and protracted. I had my fill. I had my fill. It's in for a penny, in for a pound type attitude. Anywho, so let's bring up all the numbers for comparison. So we've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 episodes now, and overview on my state of mind, and concluding thoughts and commentary. So it's generally better in all regards, save for my passions making a concentrated hot potato of anything of import Like, I'm generally more gratified and of a wellspring of emotion and gladness for life when I'm disciplined. The only it's a trade-off, as has been said by wise men before me. There is no perfect ideal. It's only trade-offs. Now I find myself in a state of mind verging on damn it all to hell. And when I'm disciplined, I'm in the entirely opposite frame of mind, save for nothing really matters near as much as like having an itch on your face, that never really goes away, or like a rash that can't really be entirely remedied, that never really fully goes away. It takes a lot of mental resources, and it's almost untenable to be disciplined enough to go through with it for duration. But this sort of atmosphere that and frame of mind and just demeanor and character that's offered as a substitute is quite squalid and bleak and dismal. So can-do attitude with high emphasis towards doing one specific thing always, and then you can try and harness and contain that energy and use it for other things, while there being a magnetism towards the obvious, or just kind of a deflated, mopey demeanor. That's the tug of war between it. I'm in favor going forward of being disciplined. It's much more enjoyable. So I'll leave it there, and that'll be all for now. Until next time.